Can you hear me? Test, 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 test. Very good. Okay, guys, we're just giving it a few more minutes to let everyone join. I'll join the chat. Oh, I need to connect to YouTube to join the chat. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Perfect, perfect. All right, all right. Pleasure to have you here, mate. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll give it maybe a minute or two. And we'll kickstart this. Okay, perfect. Okay, everyone. I will start this now, then. Thanks everyone for joining. I was just told this is also being recorded, so for anybody that wants to share this or didn't have time to stay for the whole AMA or is joining later, can always just go back to the recording. Thank you again for joining. Today is a very, very important moment for Pineapple and for the future of this ecosystem, and something that we have kind of built in the last 6 months. And I mean, in the last 6 months, you've seen us since February 19th when we launched our token. You've seen us ship Pineapple decks, staking, limit orders. Juice Mode, I think, was also last week, and we have JuiceBot V2 coming out. We've also launched Pineapple Express, Pineapple Academy being our own Medium blog, and really major upgrades across the board. Meanwhile, despite the market volatility, our user numbers and volume have steadily increased, and they've been climbing, especially on the DEX, slowly but quite steadily. And the total Papple holders and locked are still around 38% of circulating supply, which I find quite fascinating. Give me a second because, okay, I just told somebody to message me in case something's wrong with the audio. It was somebody else, sorry. But yeah, alongside all of what we've been building on the surface, we've been working on something really big behind the scenes that really unlocks the next era for Pineapple. Something many of you have actually asked us for, but really haven't realized it yet. And today we're introducing our new commercial arm, Seed. We will talk through what it is, why it matters, and what it brings to you as a user and Pineapple holder within the ecosystem. So a little bit of introduction for Seed. Seed is Pineapple's new revenue-first growth engine. It's the commercial arm of our ecosystem built to scale every product we've created, really bring new users and liquidity into Pineapple, and drive revenue directly back into Papple. And you might ask how? Well, by launching new tokens and existing tokens into the Pineapple product stack that we've been building in the last 6 months and 12 months and way before the TGE, especially the DEX. So this will bring users and eyes really back into our stack, which is the DEX, Pineapple Express, our Juice Mode, JuiceBot, and really our analytics and user base and more that we've been developing behind the scenes. Everything we've built now becomes the engine behind other projects. So those launches bring in users, they bring in volume, liquidity, and they bring most importantly real revenue, which we kind of been a bit slowly struggling with, especially with the market conditions. And that revenue is fed straight back into Pineapple via Pineapple buybacks, via Treasury growth, market support, rewards, and things that strengthen Papple and the ecosystem long term. Think of Papple as the foundation layer, and Seed is the engine that accelerates everything built on top of it. Because every launch supports the products, and the products support more launches, so it really just stacks up one on top of each other. So I don't want you guys to see Seed as a launch pad. because it isn't. It's really Pineapple's growth and revenue machine. And we've already got a number of launches lined up and we're ready to go. Veronica, would you like to share the seed video?
Introducing Seed, where real growth begins. Seed is Pineapple's revenue engine, built to launch new projects fast, drives users and volume into the Pineapple ecosystem, and reinvests the revenue directly into Papple. This creates a self-reinforcing flywheel. Frequent launches drive consistent revenue. Papple strengthens through buybacks. Funding improves the Pineapple product stack. Better tech enables bigger, more frequent launches, and the cycle continues to drive value for everyone. Seed token goes live this week. Get ready. Here is where the real growth begins.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for sharing the video. As always, our creative team have been working around the clock to make Seed and all the videos happen and make sure that we never lose on the output and the quality we get at Pineapple. So I've already seen some people message on the chat what's Seed and stuff like that. I've also noticed that the audio quality is not so clear. I don't know, sometimes that happens, but then in the recording, it sounds quite good. So make sure to check your audio settings. So we had the same issue with the last AMA. It was only a few people. So how does Seed actually work? And we have a few things to highlight here. We have technology, we have support, product, we have the proof point, and we have the value cycle. These are the 5 things I want to discuss. Starting off with technology. So we have built a new launch system that controls the part of the token launch that usually determines everything, the first few minutes. With this system, we decided how supply enters the market, how price steps up, and how liquidity is supported, and really how volatility is absorbed. Launch performance becomes something we can engineer rather than something we hope for. And this takes me to the point number 2, which is very important after that, is the support. We have KOL involvement that has been redesigned to eliminate early sell pressure. And we always improved our strategy in the last 6-7 months. And we believe at this moment, we have the right thing and the right support to be able to make these launches succeed. So going forward, they will be paid primarily in stable coins and only earn additional upside through real performance. Market making is being handled by a new specialist partner and coordinated around each stage of growth, that being initial traction, then stability, and then acceleration from there. And everyone is aligned and accountable for sustained access and success. So this is something that was quite important for us to ensure that KOLs especially get paid in stable coins rather than tokens, because these guys, they obviously bring in the volume, they bring in the users, but they don't care about the token as much as the community that they onboard, the community that's already in it, and most importantly, the founders. So stablecoins is something that we're going to be using in the future KOL pushes to ensure that there is maximum kind of stabilization around the chart. And this takes us to the product. So every seed launch is routed directly through the Pineapple product stack. And this was super important to us. And we are at the stage now to be able to really show off what we've built. That being the Pineapple text, especially with the juice mod coming out, it's really, really slick. We've had a lot of compliments and we're continuously improving that. We've got the juice spot, which will be in every single Telegram chat to ensure that everything flows back to our own ecosystem. We have staking that we're going to offer to every single launch. essentially kind of creating our own staking ecosystem where every product and every project that launches through Seed comes back to our own staking plot, which creates more visibility and more eyes to Pineapple ecosystem. Then we're going to have Pineapple Academy and the new products that follow. Now, that means users, volume, and revenue remain inside Pineapple rather than being handed away to external platforms. And we finally capture the value we create. And this takes me to the proof point. Now, the proof point would be the Seed token. It will be the first launch built on this model. It will be supported properly, maintained actively, and really allowed to demonstrate what the system can do. That performance becomes evidence that attracts even more projects into Seed, scaling deal flow and revenue very quickly. And a lot of projects we've spoken to that cannot wait, for example, until April because we are stacked up on Pineapple Express, where we really need about 4 weeks to 6 weeks to support these projects. Some projects would walk away, for example, because they don't want to wait till April, May, as we're getting fully booked up, but they want to launch faster. And Seed is really the product that allows them to launch. But in the same time, this Seed token will act as a proof point to really showcase what this new technology and this whole product suite can do to make sure that these projects come back to us and say, you know what, I do want to launch with Seed. And this takes me to the final point, the value cycle. Every bit of value created through Seed is cycled directly back into Pineapple and Papple holders. And this was super important when we created Seed. And this is not a shift to something new. It is a correction that strengthens the entire ecosystem. Seed really brings the revenue, Papple captures the upside, and the community keeps the value. And every time since we kind of built this whole vision of Pineapple, it was always to make sure the community keeps the value the most, right? And even with kind of other launches, our product suite like Dex and our Juice Spot, it's really all goes back to the ecosystem. And I know some of you might find or might say this sounds very familiar, a bit like Pineapple Express, but Seed doesn't replace Express, it complements it. Pineapple Express is designed for big, high-touch, ecosystem-defining launches, where projects like motion dev that require very deep incubation, complex product development, and long-term operational involvement from the Pineapple team. As you've seen, we've been working on motion dev for a few months now, and we're quite proud of what we've created here. And we've had a lot of projects actually come back to us because they've seen the kind of output that motion dev is creating now after we started, which is really, really nice to see. Seed is built for speed and revenue rather. It focuses on launches that can go to market very, very quickly, launches that can scale rapidly and deliver continuous commercial returns back to Pineapple without heavy internal lift. And there's a few key differences here that I would like to point out. The launch complexity is one major difference here. Express is really for deep incubation, as I said, and Seed is for rapid execution. We've got the launch cadence. As I've mentioned just a few minutes ago, Express is occasional, meaning every 4 to 6 weeks. We've already got the next project stacked up until April, but with Express, we really want to be this gold standard where if we started to launch projects more regularly, it would really create this environment where we can't support projects continuously. And I don't think this is something that we want to kind of have as one product that is directly through Pineapple, whereas Seed is really continuous. And the reason also why we kind of created a whole brand around it and instead of being part of the ecosystem is because it won't affect Pineapple as much, which I will highlight in a bit soon, in a few minutes actually. So the team involvement is a big point as well and a key difference between Pineapple Express and Seed. Express requires major internal resources, and this is something we've noticed down the line with motion dev, which is not an issue, but it's just something that we have to understand and work around. Seed runs with its own dedicated growth engine, which means that we've already hired around 3 to 4 people at this stage that are going to be solely focused on Seed. And the value mechanics is quite different too. Seed really secures revenue directly through built-in monetization and healthy liquidity without token tax. And this is going to be part of the seed token. It's not going to be token tax, guys. Excuse me, a bit of gas here, but the final thing I would like to point out the differences is the impact timeline. Express shapes the future while Seed really funds the journey to get there, right? And what does that mean? It means that Express for us is something we're going to be super proud of and be able to push within Pineapple. Not saying Seed doesn't, but Seed really funds the treasury and allows us to shape Pineapple and the whole ecosystem um, to a journey that we would like to be. The vision that we have isn't for a bull market. A lot of projects they die. You would say 99% of projects die within the bear market because they don't look ahead of time, and a lot of them don't generate revenue. And this is something that we don't want, right? We don't want to be at the point where in the bear market there isn't enough treasury that can sustain our build for the next 2, 4, 6, 8 years. And Pineapple is not your average project that is going to kind of leave it at the last minute. We're noticing that potentially in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, there's going to be a time where taxation is not going to be enough to sustain our treasury, and Seed really funds the journey to get there. So both are very essential, right? We've got Pineapple Express and we've got Seed here. They really serve different roles in the same flywheel. In short, Express continues to bring in the larger ecosystem defining launches, while Seed gives us the sustained results and revenue that attracts even bigger and better projects directly back to Express. Some would ask also why a new company or why a new brand, why a new name, why isn't it just in the same ecosystem as Pineapple as we have with Pineapple Express? And at this point, you might be wondering, again, why the division, right? And this is a good thing, actually, that I want to explain why. So, firstly, it is and will always be under the Pineapple umbrella. And we're going to share some links after this AMA and the website and everything around it. And it's always powered, or as we like to say, planted by Pineapple. It's using the entire Pineapple product stack and architecture, as I mentioned before, being the DEX, JuiceBot, and all the other products that we have within our suite. The majority of revenue will always cycle back to Pineapple ecosystem. And I would like to actually walk you through a series of flow charts with 4 or 5 slides, which perfect is already on. I say I do it, but it's actually Veronica in the background. So thanks, Veronica, for putting that on so quickly. So as you guys can see, I'm not too sure if it's clear. Maybe you have to zoom in or something. I hope everyone can see that. But as you can see in the first slide, and in an ideal world, this flow diagram was how the Pineapple economy was supposed to work. As the ecosystem grew, so too would Pineapple due to more users, more trading volume, and more value captured as a result. The growth of Papple would then strengthen the ecosystem and the cycle would continue. It makes it in theory, it makes sense in theory. It's a proven model as well used by BNB and many other projects, right? So in theory, this should be how it would work. And this takes me on to slide number 2. There you go, okay, this is slide number 3, perfect. Somewhere along the way, this value loop has been broken. Not entirely, but enough for value to leak out. And why is that? Well, our launch partners dictated terms that didn't really serve us long term. Too much supply ended up with people who didn't fully support the project without the appropriate market making strategy in place to protect us. And the critical piece, bridging ecosystem growth and token value, was missing: revenue. Then we started thinking all about revenue, and that value was never truly captured to be able to reinvest back into the ecosystem and really keep the flywheel going. And this takes me to slide number 3. Let me just make sure it's there. Okay, this is the right one. This is where Seed comes in now. Seed finally connects the value of the pineapple ecosystem back to Papple. It not only restores the value loop, it really supercharges it. And you would say, why a new token? Well, we know actions speak louder than words. And that's why we're putting our money where our mouth is. Seed token will be the first token launched through this engine, giving us a really clean, controlled system to drive success from day one. Projects will be able to see the process, the execution, and the results that we're able to really emulate. And this is something as well that we've noticed with some projects that say we cannot wait until April, but at the same time they don't want to launch for seed because it's a whole new tech, it's a whole new mechanics. There is no proof point, which really kind of tells them, do I rather want to go with another incubator or do I want to really wait? So seed really as a token serves that purpose as a proof point. And we believe it's going to be a huge success where projects are going to come to us and then say, I want to launch this way too. I just need a bit of a water break, guys. Okay. So with full freedom over the token design, the supply, incentives, and monetization, we can really prove and openly and very, very quickly, right? This is why we're going to launch it this week. It's going to show how we launch projects, how we generate revenue, and funnel that value directly back to Papple and its holders. And this is not a token designed to create distance from Pineapple. It is rather a token designed to deliver more value back into Pineapple. See it like that, right? If Seed succeeds, it amplifies Papple and the ecosystem. If Seed struggles, however, Pineapple continues unaffected, roadmap intact. And this is why we wanted to create a whole new brand around it. Rather powered or planted by Pineapple than create this product within the ecosystem, as if it then struggles, it will hurt Pineapple. And we didn't want that. Launching Seed is how we reclaim value and multiple future value for the community. Seed has been designed and launched by the same leadership team that built the Pineapple ecosystem to where it is today. The products, the execution, the momentum is all the same, and you're going to see that with the amazing creative and marketing that you're going to see in the kind of coming in the next weeks, especially closer to the TGE now. I know it's very, very close to. I mean, we're saying we're going to launch it this week, which we're very certain we will. And we wish that we could have announced this a bit sooner, but we really didn't want to take this away from the juice mode on our deck. So it's something that is rapid, but it shows, and it's also another proof point on how fast we can execute with community building, with announcements, with AMAs, and suddenly launching a token. But once live, Seed will be driven forward by a powerhouse commercial team already being assembled. We have business operators, revenue strategists, and launch specialists whose sole mission is to grow Seed's output at speed. And Pineapple team itself will overlook that at a more higher level, but it doesn't require us to focus on these projects, how we're going to focus on Pineapple Express. And it allows the core team to stay fully focused on what we've been doing the best, building the product stack and ecosystem that Papple powers, while really Seed acts alongside us to monetize and reinforce the ecosystem from the commercial side. One team builds Pineapple and one team scales the revenue behind it. And both outcomes flow back to the same holders, which we're super excited about. This takes us to the next. Perfect. Okay, this might be even a bit harder to read. Yes, perfect. So in this slide, it really kind of shows, as I mentioned, the value for the community, value for holders a lot. So let me expand on that very clearly, and so there is no uncertainty. All revenue, and that's all revenue, goes back into the Pineapple and Seed ecosystems. 20% specifically go back to Seed revenue. Excuse me, Seed. 20% of Seed revenue goes directly back into Papple buybacks, as you guys can see, which supports the chart. right? And creates continuous buying pressure. Then we have 40% of seed revenue goes directly back to Pineapple and seed marketing, market making, and stable-heavy and stable-led KOL pushes, driving new users, holders, and volume across the Pineapple ecosystem. And this was super important, as I mentioned before, that it's going to be stable-led heavy. And because we're generating this revenue continuously from launches, it allows us to take a big chunk out of that and give that to KOLs to push Papple and the seed ecosystem without really having to rely on tokens, which we've noticed is not really the right move if you want to have a sustained chart and a sustained ecosystem. And finally, the last 40% of seed revenue goes to Pineapple and seed treasury. And when I say Pineapple and seed treasury, it's very important to notice that the seed treasury is essentially Pineapple's treasury, because it's all basically by one team, it's all controlled by one team. So essentially, it's making sure that Pineapple is treasury heavy for the bear market. It also allows us to increase staking rewards, drive more development, and to continue to scale our ecosystem with every launch. We recognize that what was missing from Pineapple was solid revenue streams. We have others in the pipeline we'll release very soon, but seed is more than a revenue stream. It's going to scale the revenue driving capabilities of every live revenue stream we already have or developed. So alongside launching projects and monetizing that, these projects are going to support the DEX, the JuiceBot, the Pineapple Academy, and our overall visibility with every single KOL push that these projects do, lightly feeding back into Pineapple. And we're super excited with that because this kind of exponentially grows and multiplies. And for context, just because so some people know, if we added fees to our DEX tomorrow, for example, or even today, and matched what the biggest platforms charge, we would still need around $50 million plus in daily trading volume just to match the kind of revenue we could generate from a few seed launches. As you have seen, Uniswap, I'm not sure if people have noticed, but we certainly did, is Uniswap and the others are removing fees entirely, which makes a fee model for our DEX a much harder path for us to rely on in a very already competitive space. So what's in it for you guys that are listening, the Pineapple ecosystem, the Pineapple holders especially, right? Because I'm quite sure a lot of you guys are thinking, okay, another token, how do I as a Papple holder benefit? And obviously we want to make sure that the Pineapple ecosystem, i.e. the Papple holders, because without the Papple holders and without you guys, essentially we would be nothing, right? So I highly appreciate everyone being here and being a Papple holder. As a holder, you will benefit from a lot of upside that seed will drive. Top tier Papple stakers will still get access to seed launches. They will get bonus allocation and partner airdrops. But holding and staking seed gives you even more upside, of course, as well as guaranteed access to launches and even higher allocation tiers. We'll be releasing staking very soon after TGE, along with a breakdown on staking tiers and how it will work, just as we did with Pineapple, with a beautiful calculator and really simplifying it. But at the same time, we have great moderators, we have a great team. We're going to be very active on the channels to ensure every question is answered. And please ask your questions because I'm going to answer some questions at the end of this AMA, which is going to be very, very shortly. Thank you very much for still holding on. Alongside that, really, as I've mentioned a few times, remember that this was really built for benefiting Papple. It benefits Papple holders because seed launch generates revenue, and that revenue flows directly into Pineapple buybacks, treasury growth, staking rewards, marketing and chart support, and funding better products and more launches, as well as attracting more users back to the Pineapple ecosystem. And all of this, again, leads to more revenue. It leads to more buybacks, better products, more launches, and the loop really keeps compounding. And this is what we're super excited about, the compounding loop, because at the stage in 3 to 6 months, the way we see it is we're going to have many projects that we've launched, all having a KOL push, driving back to seed that drives back to Pineapple and multiple revenue streams. So what's next is really execution. And we're going to have we're going to share some links after this AMA. But for anybody interested, there's going to be a link tree shared as well, and you guys can really go ahead and start joining the Telegram announcement channels and that sort of stuff. And as I said, the seed TGE happens this week. So we're talking about from now until Friday. We're going to yet announce the date, but it's going to happen. And we're hoping in the next 2 to 3 days. And you're really going to watch the full engine begin to operate in real time. We're going to launch, we're going to support, and we're going to have traction, revenue, no theories, just delivery. So we can have that as a proof point for the next projects that we already lined up that are really waiting for us to showcase what this technology can do, what this strategy can do, and all around. And we've kind of built our own KOL strategy too, with that being said, right? So everything really remains within our ecosystem that we don't have to rely to third parties. Excuse me. So seed is not a one-off. It's not just launching with seed and that's it. We're already going to kind of look back at how we launched seed, how we did, and how we can improve them for the next launches, and then slowly go back to the projects that said to us, I can't wait till April, and we're going to then highlight this to them. And I'm quite sure a lot of them, if not all of them, are going to be very eager to launch on seed very rapidly, meaning that we could potentially have 2 to 3 projects lined up for January already. January, because obviously it's Christmas period, people are going on holidays, so we're not planning to launch seed tokens or seed launches, after the seed on December, after our own seed token. And finally, I want to be absolutely clear, guys. Bringing value back to Pineapple is our #1 focus, and it always was. And that's really a mandate, and it is the purpose here. Every seed, everything really that seed does, every launch, every user flow, every dollar of revenue is designed to reinforce Papple and strengthen the ecosystem. I think we are okay. It's already been shared. So on the chat, you have the link tree. It's going to be launched with seed, and it's going to be launched with seed.com. The channels will stay muted until TGE for safety, because, and this is one thing I really want to highlight, guys, there's going to be a lot of scammers, a lot of people creating fake seed tokens with big liquidity, so it looks like a real token, hoping that some of you guys will buy back into. So you're only going to find the right contract address on these channels, the official channels. Please don't think you're going to be first in or whatever because you saw it. For your own safety, we reiterate that a few times, and this is also why we're going to mute the channels. We are going to share the contract address with everybody once it's live. So please make sure you're vigilant, because we had something similar with Papple, and unfortunately, a few people, just didn't wait, and they thought they would, snipe or be ahead of game, and they came back to us and said, I put a few $1,000s in, and it was sad to see, and I don't want this to happen again. So also one thing to mention is seed will be launching on Solana. So Solana chain, for people that are not familiar with Solana, thankfully, if you use MetaMask, it has a Solana wallet. It's a whole complete different chain. It's not an EVM chain. So if you're going to use MetaMask, Rabbi, Trust Wallet, your Ethereum wallet will not work. You're going to need a specific Solana wallet. And please educate yourself on Solana if you're going to, if it's your first time on Solana and you've never traded on Solana, please educate yourself and perhaps activate a Solana wallet, put a few dollars in there and trade a few tokens, because it's not entirely different to Ethereum. But if you haven't done it before, you don't want your first Solana investment or trade to be seed, right? Because things mess up sometimes. And you'll be able to find it on Pineapple Dex, our own exchange, when we launch, of course. So sharing the CA with you guys, then you can go on Pineapple Dex, paste it in there. Actually, you won't even have to paste in there because we're going to advertise it on our own Dex, and you're going to see that as a token in the top. And then you'll be able to just buy it off there as well. So once we actually have that seed token there, then it also shows to you guys that, okay, this is actually a seed token you're buying. But just to double check, make sure the CA is through our own live channels. And if you're unsure, just watch what happens next. Really, the results will speak louder than any announcements or any narrative here. This is the start of Pineapple's revenue era, and you see it unfold step by step, and we're super excited about this. And I will start taking some questions. Not sure how we're going to do this. Just give me a few seconds, guys. I'm just going to let in a few questions flow in. Veronica, if you find any good questions from, I don't know, a couple minutes ago, 5-10 minutes ago, feel free to just put it in the chat or DM me. Okay, so yeah, thank you. That's perfect. I want to know more about the buybacks. What does that mean for us? Okay, so this is specifically for the 20% of revenue buybacks. It means that you're going to get a lot of sell pressure on the chart because essentially the revenue that we're going to monetize through these seed launches and through Pineapple Express is going to be quite heavy, especially if we manage to launch about 2-3 projects per month. And this drives back money into the chart, meaning that continuous buy pressure, more volume, which means the price essentially will go up higher, right? And we can then also utilize some of these buybacks to grow the staking pool, essentially, to really ensure that the staking pool, which we already have, by the way, our staking pool is already healthy enough, even though there's 38% of circulating supply, it's healthy for the next year and a half. But this really ensures that we can keep this up, that our staking pool, and we can offer the 15% API for the next 3-4 years. Because me being in the space for 9 years, I've staked in some protocols for 3 years, 5 years, right? So especially launchpads, and they used to have a great API. And then suddenly, after a couple of months, they couldn't sustain that, so they dropped from like 7%, 8%, 10% to like 1%, really negligible amounts. And there's nothing I could have done because I was staked for 5 years or 2 years. So this is very important for us. So you're going to get buy pressure, you're going to get a higher price on the Papple, you're going to get more tokens out of circulation, because essentially what this will do, we're going to grow that into the Treasury, and that's going to stay very, we're going to kind of create that, add that to a vote or safeguard that, and not really just give that away free willy. And our aim is to get back a lot of the supply from the charts and from people that want to essentially sell, right? To actually sustain when we grow to new all-time highs, that it's not going, that we can grow above that. I hope that answers your question. How many launches for each Pineapple Express and Seed do you expect? As I've said, Pineapple Express, we could launch more projects in Pineapple Express, and I know a few of you asked that, and this is really why we created Seed, because with Pineapple Express, perfect, you put the questions even there, thank you very much. With Pineapple Express, if we were going to launch 2 to 3 projects, you're going to see the same quality of output that you see with other incubators. Maybe not the same, because our team, I believe, is really superior to many of them, but also because we have a big and strong team. But it doesn't allow us to really focus on the projects. And if you guys see what we've done with Motion Dev and the things they're going to announce in the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, this would have not been possible if we were going to support them just for a couple of weeks. So we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks per Pineapple Express launch, and we're looking at about an average of 2 to 3 projects for seed, really dependent. It will start off a bit slower, so we're going to have seed this week. Then it's obviously Christmas period. we're preparing some for January. We're hoping for 2 in January, and then from there on 2 to 3 every month. And if it scales and sustains, and we can grow a team through the revenue and build a secondary team and a bigger team, there's no reason why we can't expand that into even 4 per month. But I want to keep it at 2 to 3 for now. We'll go on to the next question. Is there a pre-sale or whitelist for Papple stakers? And do you have seed staking, or how does that work? Okay, so I'll answer the latter first. We are going to have seed staking, and it's going to work very similarly to Pineapple and the Pineapple Mansion. So we're going to have a seed mansion because we spend quite a bit of time creating our own Discord bot, right? Because just how we like to do it, we don't like to rely on third parties for something as important as these things. So we create our own Discord bot. Thanks, Andy, for building that. It's quite a good bot, and we want to utilize the same thing for a mansion within Seed. And you're going to have specifically 4 tiers, very similar to Pineapple, guys. You know, with the 4x multiplier, I kept it very similar or exactly the same, because I didn't want to complicate things. You know, I wanted to keep things very easy for people. And because when you come in as a new community member just for Seed, it also makes it very easy to go to Pineapple and see the value in Pineapple, because it's the same multiplier, it's the same mansion. Sorry, not the same mansion, but the same way to access the mansion. So it kind of simplifies the whole process to convert Seed investors into Papple investors. And the first part of that question was, is there a pre-sale or whitelist for Papple stakers? So Pineapple Express is a little bit different. Pineapple Express will have a whitelist. So people are going to have to buy within the first 3 minutes, whereas with Seed, we are not going to have a taxation method. We are not going to have a whitelist for the first 3 minutes. We are going to have instead a pre-sale, and this pre-sale will be able for us to fund the launch. It will be able for us to fund a very heavily USDT or stable heavy KOL push, as I mentioned. So instead of actually having to give a few percentages of supply to KOLs, we can really fund that with the pre-sale money that we've raised, and then also the stakers get the benefit of getting some supply for every Seed launch. Unfortunately for the public at this stage, Seed is not going to have a pre-sale. This is going to be for the mansion. It's already closed and finalized, and it's going to be also for the next Seed launches, guys. So if you are not a mansion member or not a staker, you can really access these Seed launches 2 ways. One would be to jump into the Pineapple Mansion. That's number 1. Number 2 would be to join the Seed Mansion. That being when we share the contract address, you can buy yourself tokens and you can stake them, and then you'll get access through that. Now, if you are staked on both sides and have mansion, you're going to get a huge bonus. So your allocation becomes much, much bigger. And there's going to be very short vesting schedules as well. Next question. Will there be like a grant program for creators who want to use the Seed platform? I don't know if you want to say something about loans. Not sure. So I'm not too sure what you mean with grant programs. So when projects actually apply to us, a lot of them don't have a treasury of funds, you know, or they would struggle to pay for that KOL push that we want to do. And this is where our pre-sale kicks in, right? Essentially allowing these projects to have a sustained KOL push and that sort of stuff. It's going to be like a grant, and they're going to offer supply to our investors in that, or our pre-salers or stakers, right? So we're not going to loan money from our side, not at all. So no. But yeah, there will be support for projects that don't have funds that want it. So if you're a project listening to this, you want to launch, you want to have a Pineapple and a C team behind you, marketing, creative support, go-to-market strategies, operational support, BD, partnerships, connections, community building, and a lot more, then you can apply, launchwithseed.com, and we are even going to support you to essentially grow a Treasury that then sustains a KOL push, which stays within the same Pineapple ecosystem, right? So we're not going to be giving, for example, projects $100,000-$200,000. Essentially, we're going to use that directly for KOL push, for the launch, etc. Because launches, they are quite expensive, guys. Even if you ever plan to launch a token by yourself without any marketing push, anything, it's not going to be free either. It's going to cost thousands of dollars. Like we have service providers like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, for example, charging $5,000 to be listed. And it's just Web3. Everything Web3 is like 10 times more expensive. And this is why also at Pineapple, we did a lot of Web2 marketing, because if you guys know the costs on the Web2 side compared to Web3, it's a no-brainer to activate some of the Web2 marketing. I know some people didn't like it too much, but the costs were so negligible compared to the KOLs on Web3. It's really shocking. Okay. Last question then. How might the Force multiplier incorporate gamified social quests to onboard non-crypto natives? And what Papple incentives tie into viral referral loops? Okay, this is more a kind of JuiceBot V2 answer, I would say. So anyone that knows or doesn't know, JuiceBot was our own Telegram bot for engagement, community engagement, driving volume back to our own decks through the buy bot notification, staking notification. You have games in there to gamify your whole community, to really make the community more engaged, essentially, right? It's an engagement growth engine, I would say. We have released the V1 or the beta version around, I would say, 5 months ago now, but we really weren't happy with how it was at this stage for sustainability and scalability to take this to the next level. So JuiceBot V2 is supposedly coming out this week too. And why I'm saying supposedly is because we've done the QA, we're very happy with it, but you never know with developers, last minute something went wrong and it takes another couple of days. But we don't want to take away from the seed launch. So this is going to be after the seed launch, but JuiceBot V2 is coming out. It's really built with a whole new architecture to make sure that it's scalable and sustainable so that it can go to thousands of communities. And we're going to have gamification. So you can tip somebody, you can play games with some other people, an arcade room where the future of this is really the arcade room where you can go in and you can play tens of games, right? And Telegram is really basic, so it's not really like a casino or anything. You can't go to that level, right? But what you can is with Telegram is you can create fun, engaging plays, something that might take you 30 seconds or a minute, but you can really play against anybody or play as a 4 against 4, for example. So I've seen some of these games. I'm not a gamer myself or gambler, but I can see some people really enjoying this. And essentially, what's supposed to do is supposed to just create more engagement, right? And what we believe is that when we have 10 community members only using this, it drives back a lot of volume back to us, and people are going to speak about it. And another nice thing about JuiceBot is that we can lightly create ads in there. So if people don't pay for the premium version, we can create ads in there where it drives back to Pineapple. And every project that we launch through Pineapple Express or through JuiceBot is going to have JuiceBot. Every launch that's going through Pineapple Express or Seed is going to have JuiceBot already integrated into the ecosystem. And I think I'll leave it at there, guys, because I'm already misspelling some products because it's just too much. So I don't want to talk about other product lines at this moment. Just double checking with our CMO. She's a real boss here, guys. I'm just making sure if she says it's finished, it's finished. I'm only acting like I'm the boss. So I'm waiting for the confirmation. I think it's all good. Just a final reminder, guys, TGE is this week. It will be on Solana. It's going to really prove our launch model. An announcement is coming out after the AMA. Please, please, please do not try to buy the token when you see it live on Solana tomorrow, the day after, or Thursday or Friday. there's going to be a lot of scammers, and I'm expecting tens of scam tokens. So we will share the CA with you guys, then you can buy in. It's going to start at a quite low valuation compared to where we think we can take this to, right? But not the same as Pineapple Express. So yeah, very excited about this. Any questions, please feel free to ask us in the Pineapple chat. If you're in the mansion, you would have already asked many questions. We've already discussed it with you and done the pre-sale. So that's another part of mansion, guys, right? It's not just the fact that you were able to get into the pre-sale. It's actually, we are in it, like the whole team, and I'm very heavily in the mansion, like answering everyone's questions. I can't do this, unfortunately, for the chat because we have a lot of people in the community. But if you're in the mansion, you really get special treatment. You get better access. You would have already checked out the juice mode before it came out. You would have checked out a lot of stuff. You would have got access to the pre-sale, and this AMA essentially is already it's already like you would have already known about all of this before. So make sure to, if you can, join the mansion. And yeah, very happy with this AMA, and I think we're going to have a lot of questions coming to our chat, and we're ready for it. So speak soon, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and looking forward for the next AMA.
Introducing Seed, where real growth begins. Seed is Pineapple's revenue engine. Built to launch new projects fast, drives users and volume into the Pineapple ecosystem, and reinvests the revenue directly into Papple. This creates a self-reinforcing flywheel. Frequent launches drive consistent revenue. Papple strengthens through buybacks. Funding improves the Pineapple product stack. Better tech enables bigger, more frequent launches, and the cycle continues to drive value for everyone. Seed token goes live this week. Get ready. Here is where the real growth begins.